Hello, today is Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. Here is your daily signal. The global oil market is undergoing a dramatic transformation, with Business Insider reporting that Brent crude has dropped to $73 per barrel as fears of a supply shortage have shifted towards concerns about demand. The backdrop to this price decline is the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway that remains a pressure point for global energy supplies, deepening tensions between the U.S. and Iran. According to Fortune, the situation has escalated into a shadow war over the Strait of Hormuz, casting doubt on ongoing ceasefire talks and amplifying market jitters. Adding to the complexity, $6 billion in frozen Iranian assets are set to be released for humanitarian food purchases, and as Fortune also points out, Oman is now in talks with Tehran about imposing service fees on ships passing through Hormuz. Short term, we can expect oil prices to remain volatile, particularly as geopolitical risks threaten to disrupt critical shipping lanes in the region. The near-term influx of $6 billion could offer Iran some temporary economic relief, but may also lead to more scrutiny from Washington. In the medium term, ongoing shadow war dynamics could derail diplomacy and trigger broader instability across the region, forcing international firms like BP and ExxonMobil, as well as energy importing nations, to rethink their strategies if new fees or supply disruptions materialize. Next, we turn to the fast-moving world of artificial intelligence investments. Big tech firms and the world's largest banks are unleashing record spending on AI infrastructure, though Fortune highlights a stark warning from the Bank for International Settlements. The BIS says more than $1 trillion is being poured into AI, drawing unsettling parallels to the dot-com bubble and earlier speculative manias. This recent surge is led by industry titans like JP Morgan, Qualcomm, and other hyperscalers, all ramping up capital expenditures in response to insatiable AI demands. The backdrop: ambitious projections have big tech and Wall Street expanding infrastructure at breakneck speed through 2030, with BIS officials cautioning that systemic risks are mounting, echoing the ghosts of boom-bust cycles past. On June 29, 2026, Fortune reported that BIS issued its flagship annual report, underscoring that the trillion-dollar AI gamble could have sweeping repercussions throughout the real economy, and on the same day, JP Morgan raised its own capital spending forecast for AI as competition for data center capacity reaches new highs. In the near term, unsustainable investments could spark economic volatility or even outright market corrections. Over the medium term, we may see regulators tighten rules on tech and finance sector capital allocation for AI, especially if unchecked spending starts to rattle global markets. This unprecedented race for AI dominance is also escalating competition among hyperscalers and blue-chip financial firms, with the risk that a bubble or bust could shake the foundations of both industries. Now, switching focus to quantum technology and U.S. government innovation goals. The U.S. government is accelerating its quantum computing ambitions, with new scientists revealing that Washington has set a goal to deliver a useful quantum computer by 2028. Quantum computers promise to revolutionize industries by tackling calculations and simulations far beyond the reach of today's classical machines, potentially transforming fields from cryptography to drug discovery. This initiative, spurred by concerns over global technological rivalry, particularly with China, represents Washington's drive to safeguard national security and scientific leadership, a process marked by milestone deadlines and funding increases since the National Quantum Initiative Act of 2018. According to New Scientist, multiple U.S. agencies, from the Department of Energy to NIST and the NSF, are intensifying coordination and announcing new funding to hit readiness milestones in the next 2 years. Tech giants like IBM and Google, along with academic leaders and the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, are deeply involved in these efforts. In the short term, increased federal investment and new public-private partnerships are likely to accelerate U.S. quantum prototypes. Longer term, a breakthrough in quantum computing could completely upend global security frameworks, turning today's encryption methods obsolete and set off an international race for supremacy, reshaping commercial software and hardware markets in the process. Now, onto the markets. International equities posted mixed moves. The United Kingdom advanced 2.47%, with the EWU ETF finishing at 47.08. While China large-cap stocks saw a modest 0.61% decline, with FXI at 31.77. Commodities had a positive day, as silver surged by 2.65% and platinum also climbed over 2.7%, while U.S. oil edged higher by just 0.25%. Major U.S. sector ETFs were generally flat. The S&P 500 slipped 0.4%, but healthcare climbed 2.28% with Roman 45 leading sector gains. In notable single-stock action, Adobe rose sharply by 4.5%, while Apple added 4.5% and Microsoft closed up 1.4%. Among gainers, Evolve Technologies Holdings warrants soared more than 134%. On the downside, Circ plunged 98%, and Anfield Enhanced Market ETF fell nearly 78%. That's it for today. You can find more news and details on our website. Goodbye.